There are stories in history that feel like warnings whispered across time, reminders of what happens when ambition has no limits, when power goes unchecked, and when the hunger for profit becomes greater than the value of truth. But some warnings don't whisper. Some burn so bright, so violently, that the world is forced to look. At the dawn of the 21st century, America witnessed a collapse so shocking, so outrageous, that it shook the global financial system. A collapse built not on failure, but on deception. This is a story of Enron, the company that rose like a rocket, dazzled the world, and then exploded under the weight of its own lies. A story of innovation turned into illusion, of leaders who thought they were untouchable, and of millions of people who learned, too late, that greed always sends a bill. Before we dive deeper, make sure you subscribe so you never miss documentaries like this. Now let's begin. Part 1. The Birth of a Giant. In the 1980s, America's energy sector was transforming. Deregulation was opening doors. Competition was rising, and a new era of corporate opportunity was emerging. And into this world stepped a man named Kenneth Lay, a charismatic economist with impeccable political connections. Lay had a vision to create not just an energy company, but the energy company. In 1985, two gas firms merged to form Enron, and from the outside, it looked like just another utility company. But Enron didn't want to sell energy. It wanted to control it. The company began pushing a revolutionary idea, turning energy into a commodity that could be traded like stocks. Natural gas, electricity, anything that moved through wires or pipes. Enron believed it could buy it, predict it, and profit from it. People called it bold, ambitious, even brilliant. And slowly, Enron began to rise. Part 2. The Cult of Enron. By the early 1990s, Enron had transformed itself from a simple gas pipeline company into a corporate icon, a place where the smartest minds in America fought to be hired. Behind the scenes, however, a different culture was forming. A culture built on extreme competition, constant pressure, and ruthless ambition. It wasn't enough to perform. You had to outperform. Every quarter, every year, employees lived in fear of a single phrase: rank and yank. Each year, the bottom-rated workers were fired. No excuses, no second chances. This brutal system created an environment where honesty became optional, and hiding bad news became normal. Then came the man who would take Enron from risky to catastrophic, Jeffrey Skilling. Skilling wasn't just brilliant. He was hypnotic. He believed the market could be bent, shaped, manipulated if you were smart enough. He pushed for a system called mark-to-market accounting, a method that allowed Enron to record profits for deals that hadn't happened yet, sometimes for deals that never would. Instant profit, instant growth, instant illusion. Skilling didn't just build a company. He built a fantasy, and Wall Street fell in love with it. Part 3. The Illusion of Infinite Growth. By the late 1990s, Enron had become a superstar, a company that seemed unstoppable. Its stock price soared. Its executives became celebrities. Its workers thought they were changing the world. Enron bragged about entering new markets: water, broadband, internet bandwidth, weather futures. Anything that could be traded, Enron wanted to dominate. The media called Enron America's most innovative company. Investors called it the next big thing, and employees called it the promised land. But behind the glamorous numbers was a growing storm. Enron wasn't making money. It was faking it. The company had billions of dollars in debt, using secret shell companies known as special purpose entities. They were controlled by Enron's own executives. A conflict of interest so outrageous it seemed impossible, yet it continued. Losses were hidden, failures were disguised, and optimism was manufactured. Enron didn't grow because it was successful. Enron grew because it lied. Enron's downfall reveals a truth many still ignore. Greed doesn't collapse overnight. It rots slowly. If you're learning something new from this story, make sure to subscribe and comment "greed has a cost" down below so the algorithm knows you're engaged. Now let's continue. Part 4. The cracks begin to show. In early 2001, the fantasy began to fall apart. Journalists started asking questions. Analysts noticed numbers that didn't add up, and investors began to sense the truth. Enron wasn't a miracle. It was a mask. CEO Jeff Skilling suddenly resigned, claiming personal reasons. But insiders knew the truth. The walls were closing in. Then came the event that triggered the unraveling. A young financial analyst named Sharon Watkins sent an internal memo warning Kenneth Lay that the company was heading toward disaster. She said, "If Enron implodes, it will be because of the accounting scandal." But it was too late. Enron's stock price, once over $90, collapsed to under $1. Employees lost everything. Their life savings wiped out overnight. Pension plans evaporated. Trust disappeared. And the world watched in disbelief. The giant had fallen. Part 5. The fall that shook the world. On December 2nd, 2001, Enron filed for bankruptcy, the largest corporate bankruptcy in American history at the time. Executives were investigated. Trials began. Secrets spilled. Jeff Skilling was sentenced to 24 years in prison. Andrew Fastow, the architect of the accounting fraud, was sentenced to 6 years. Kenneth Lay died before sentencing, leaving behind a legacy of denial. Enron wasn't just a corporate failure. It was a symbol, a warning about what happens when greed becomes a business model. Its downfall destroyed billions of dollars in wealth, shattered trust in corporate America, and forced the government to overhaul accounting laws to prevent another disaster. Enron wasn't a tragedy. It was a consequence. Part 6. What Enron teaches us about power. Today, Enron survives not as a company, but as a lesson, a reminder that if a company looks too perfect, it probably is. If growth seems limitless, it's likely an illusion. And if leaders act like gods, the fall will be biblical. Enron is a warning about blind trust, a warning about unchecked ambition, and a warning that the pursuit of wealth without accountability will always end in destruction. The empire of Enron collapsed more than 20 years ago, but its shadow still lingers over Wall Street, over corporations, and over anyone who chases success without ethics. Its rise showed what brilliance can achieve. Its fall showed what greed can destroy. If you want to understand the world we live in today, you must understand the fire Enron left behind. Thanks for watching. And before you go, tap the link on the upper part of the screen to watch similar videos just like this one.